What about what do you guys think about the game moving or possibly moving out of Jacksonville?
Glad you brought that up. I was going again. I don't know your time strength, so I saw that that's kind of they talked about it more this time, and they're supposed to renegotiate the contract for the next 2 years. They're like an opt-in type of deal situation going on, and they're kind of like, hey, we're just going to push it off, which hasn't been a thing in the past. Typically, like, yep, let's rock and roll, let's move it on. Again, this is where Billy being new to the game, does he understand the importance of it being in Jacksonville? I'm kind of surprised if I'm Kirby. Why would you want that on your record of you were the guy that took this out of Georgia or out of Jacksonville? You bring him a national championship, great. They're going to build a statue of you, but you're also known as the guy that took this great, competitive game out of Jacksonville. And all this nonsense about money and recruiting, like, dude, come on. Like, could it make a difference? Sure, with Texas and these guys coming in, like it's an advantage for us. I think it being in Jacksonville and being what it is bigger than you can have it at your home. Again, I can't see the numbers from a financial side. I don't know. I know that if it makes like $3 or $4 million, they split it in half, is my understanding. I was reading into that a little bit. If it goes to Gainesville, what does Gainesville make? $4 million, and they don't have to split it. I don't know. Like, is it? I think it's crazy. I think it's dumb. That's obviously the fan in me. And I was looking at it too. It's closer to Georgia than it is to Gainesville. I mean, people don't realize that Jacksonville's it tickles Georgia. Like, it's not
Georgia, but it's not closer to Athens. I mean,
sure,
Florida is north. Florida can take a bus to the game. Georgia's got to take.
But for Georgia fans to get there is more so what I was referring to.
Yeah. And it's the South Georgia fans really more than anybody else that want to keep the game in Jacksonville. But look, I've always felt this way. It has got nothing to do with Kirby Smart. I think college football games should be played on college campuses. I don't like neutral site games at all. I don't like Oklahoma, Texas at a fair. I don't like Chick-fil-A kickoff game in Charlotte or the Peach Bowl Classic in Mercedes. I don't like it. I don't like them. I want college football games to be played on college campuses.
I actually agree with that. When I see some of those games, it's like you see like they're playing the Dallas Stadium. It's like that's kind of weird to me. Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville it's just been so like normal to me that I don't look at that game as a neutral site. Like it's different for me. I don't know how to explain it. Those other games feel like it's more of just trying to make, I don't know, like how you're describing it, right? I was like, these games should be played at home. But Florida, Georgia's been like this my entire life, so I don't know any different to say, hey, it shouldn't be, because it feels like a home game for both teams.
Look, the one thing I will say is they turn that stadium turns into a college environment.
Yeah,
I mean,
it does.
And look, there's certainly some games that you're like, like to your point, the Texas OU game, it kind of feels boring and flat, and it's just not, the stadium's not mic'd up. The crowd seems kind of meh sometimes. I don't know if I've ever seen a Florida Georgia game that didn't look and feel and sound like what a traditional college football game should be. But so to that point, now to the other end of it, obviously, there's some travel to it. You do lose a home game once a year to some degree. So there's certainly some constraints there. Now, I did hear that they're going to allow both teams to treat it as a home game when it comes to recruiting, so that you don't lose a home game in recruiting. So that's going to be a big push for both coaches. The game's been here forever. The city is 100% bought into it. They'll do anything they can to keep that game here. I mean, and look, if it got flat and it started,
it's the only time that stadium sells out.
Take them, right? Take it back. Take it back home. If we can't give them the atmosphere that they want, but my gosh, it feels like every time they walk on that field for that game, it is just about as electric as it could be.
I mean, the alternative isn't bad. To have Florida Georgia in the swamp would be. I mean, my goodness, I just don't think it would be healthy at this point to bring that type of animosity to the swamp or to Athens. I really don't. I feel like nobody would know what to do, and it would not be. It would be a bloodbath. I think people coming to their neutral site, they don't have that confidence of like, this is my home ground, where it kind of levels the playing field a little bit. You go rolling into the swamp. A bulldog hadn't been there in about a minute. It's not going to be good.
You know what happened the last time Florida played in Athens, don't you?
Oh, yeah, they broke the record on the most number of points. Because, look, when they were building the stadium when the Jaguars came, they had to tear the thing down. So, to lose point for 2 years, they did a home in Athens in Gainesville. Yep.
Yeah.
Spurrier
and
was
then,
the coach.
Look, that was what Spurrier was there, and kind of back to Lou's point. Spurrier hated Florida, or hated Georgia
at Stanford Stadium. 52, I think it was. It was 50.
So.
It was 50 or over. It's in the 50s. Yeah. And so Georgia's been wanting some payback for that for a while. Hey, you know what I heard today? Home Jacksonville. There's a
I wouldn't say I'm taking a break from it. I can see that.
There's a Georgia podcast I listen to that's done by a member of the quote unquote professional Georgia media, that travels with the team and is in the press conferences and all that. And I guess there's a push by I don't know who to go to a 3-year deal where you play in Gainesville and Athens and then the 3rd year in Jacksonville. But he made the point,
okay,
are people going to keep going to Jacksonville if it's only every 3 years? Because a lot of the people, y'all notice, a lot of people that go down there, they own timeshares down there. Like they've planned like
their
part
life
of their
around
life
it.
game by they take vacation from work that week every single year. They've had a timeshare for 20 years on whatever beach or island down there. And if that game goes to once every 3 years, that seems like worse than what it is now. Like I say, either keep it there or take it out of there.
You got to be all in. It's like trying to hold on to. It's like you break up with a girl, but it's like, hey, we can still be friends, but it's not serious. Yeah. And then they don't know. You don't know if it's serious or not. And it's like, what is this? It's not. It seems weird. But yeah, people are there now. The party started now,
yes.
And that's why I think that's what makes it so great.
RV City opened yesterday.
You put it in Athens or you put it in Gainesville, you don't have that. It's not. It's going to be Friday, Saturday thing, and maybe just even a Saturday thing. I think that's what makes it so much special. Is look, maybe if Florida, Georgia, like, hey, work out, like we get a piece of the pie because we're bringing all this cheddar in starting Thursday. Without us, you're not getting any of that. And because recruiting has now been solved, that was Kirby's biggest thing, right? The other thing is money. Well, just if you want to be greedy, but just ask for some of that pie because I feel like, look, you're bringing that in. You should get a credit from it. Real quick, North Florida White Trash did say some love. He said, an Uncle Lou video is the inspiration behind my name. Nothing but love for Lou. So you were mentioning that he was on there. I wanted to make sure I got that on there before you went because clearly you inspired him to have a great name. I love it.
Yeah, that's me, Uncle Lou, an inspiration to people everywhere.
I love it.